of Debt Nation. We have Mr. Carrot's back, Mr. Kurt's back, and he's brought with him Noel Ramos, who's an advocate of independent music, media, and other forms of independent media. And I'm really interested in independent media, not just because I'm involved in independent media, which is an obvious thing, but also because an expansion of the creative sphere is always something that's good for humanity, that's beneficial for humanity. More voices inside of the ecosphere is always a good idea, whether that be music or talking or movies like we talked about before, Mr. Carrots, and other things. So, Mr. Carrots, how are you, and who have you brought this time? It's really exciting to have you both back on, both on Debt Nation.
Well, I brought Noel. I've known Noel now. When was the first time I spoke at one of your conferences? That could be, I know it's at least 10 years, but it could be even 15 years now.
Yeah, it was Philly, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right. First conference was Philly that I spoke at back when I used to do a lot more music, and I still have the internet radio station, but I don't, I post on a few months, and I don't do the interviews like I used to do. But the funny thing is that I kind of got from doing less music and doing more producing, and Noel got it of movies, and Noel got more into acting and doing production and a lot of stuff. We kind of went that way parallel separately, which is kind of interesting. So Noel does this, has done this great thing. When did you first do the indie music conference? When did you first start that?
We founded the IMC in 2002 and presented our very first event in 2003.
Yeah, now you spread it out to this year. It's going to be the Indie Music and Media Conference. So that includes movies also. So that's great.
Independent film.
So now I kind of introduced Noel. What questions you got for him there, Steele?
Well, what type of music have you traditionally, done at these events? What all types, or folk, or rock and roll, or sort of like what type of music?
Well, the Independent Music Conference is not really a gig. It's not a concert. It's an educational event. So it doesn't matter what kind of music they perform as long as they are independent artists. In other words, they want to market their product, their music, directly to their consumer base, to their fans. They don't want to go through a record label or a third party to market their music for them. So anybody that considers themselves an independent artist is welcome at the IMC. So we see all kinds of genres, folk, rock, classical, Latin, anything.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, and music is a saturated industry. There is a lot of music at this point in present time, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. There's a lot of music out there, and it's really, really hard for producers of music to have a voice. And so what are some of the most common problems that you see with independent artists who are starting out and, they haven't come to you yet? And why do they come to you? What's some marketing issues and other issues, legal issues, issues with copyright, with, we've got Creative Commons versus, full copyright. What are some common reasons people come to you and say, I actually need to come to this conference and learn some stuff and utilize the IMC in order to develop a better strategy at marketing their music?
That's a really great question because you kind of summed it all up. The IMC is specifically geared towards musicians who want to look at their career as a business. So we make it very clear to them up front. If you just come to the conference to play the gig, then you don't need to come to our conference. It's not a festival. It's not a music event. It's an educational and learning and networking event. So we specify and we stress going into it when we start talking to these people, if you want to learn how to run your business, your music as a business, then come to the Independent Music Conference. We have seminars, workshops, all kinds of mentor sessions. We bring in a variety of instructors from many different aspects of the business to teach them how to run their business, how to deal with their copyright, how to deal with the legal aspects of what they're doing, how to market themselves better, how to use the gear that they're investing in, how to plan their tours, how to negotiate with other people in the business so that they don't get screwed. Those kinds of things. And in addition to which, we also have instructors who come in and talk about the music side of it too. How to perform, how to sing better, how to play better, various things of that type. So it's a well-rounded educational event.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of businesses should go and visit this, because if you can compete in the music industry and you can learn from these people in the music industry, you could take that knowledge out and compete in other industries as well. I think there's a lot of crossover there. Rise in digital media, versus live performance. Back in the day, it used to be all about records, and then it went to CDs and tapes, and then it went to MP3s, and then they sort of became unprofitable to, work on that media. Is live concerts and or live streaming, is that where the money is nowadays? Where is the money at? What's the difference between digital and live performances? Are live performances making a comeback because of sort of the easiness of digital media?
Another really good question, and that's going to be one of the hot topics of this year's event, because we're at that point where physical media has become, obsolete. And now it's a question of, how do we make money if we can't sell physical product anymore? And yes, the live shows have always been the staple for performers, because that's the one thing that can't be messed with. Live show is a live show. And if they can make money doing live shows, then they usually keep the lion's share of that money. So it's a good fallback. And a lot of artists are using it as a fallback in order to augment their income streams and kind of make up for the fact that they can't sell records, tapes, CDs, whatever anymore. The live streaming, they're getting pennies per stream with that. So it's not like selling a CD when you used to be able to get $16 for a disc. So it's a new world, and they're trying to come up with alternative income sources and alternative income streams. And one of the things we've been talking about a lot is crowdfunding, and how they can still sell physical product through crowdfunding efforts by making the physical product part of a prize package, a reward package. And last time I researched this, I discovered that the average price that artists were getting for a CD plus awards package or reward package was about $70, which is a lot better than $10-15. So their hardcore fans, their 1,000 super fans, were willing to pay up to $70 for a CD plus other things through a crowdfunding campaign, as opposed to just going to the store or buying it online and getting simply a disc for $10.
Yeah.
Well, I've been at a couple shows where I question. I see people still trying to sell a lot of CDs, and I hate to tell you, but none of my cars play CDs. I've recommended to people to get those bracelets you can buy them at like $1 that you program, that have their memory. They're basically a memory stick, but in a bracelet. And if they would put the CD on, the music on that, it would be easier for me to buy because I could play it in my car.
The problem, John, is you're opening yourself up to piracy in a big way. Not that
that's true. Also, that's a good point.
Not that a disc doesn't anyway, because they could always burn a disc if they really wanted to. But still, a CD is a little bit harder to pirate than giving them an actual digital file that they can easily copy. So that's one of the concerns of the digital world and the new marketplace that we face, is the ease of theft of IP. And it's very difficult for an artist to make money when it's so easy for a thief to just copy 1 million perfect duplicates and spread them all over the web. So that is
a good point. That is a good point. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Vietnam. Yeah, like Vietnam used to be the global factory of fake CDs, and then it got even cheaper with Napster, and then all these torrenting websites, and then basically YouTube and Google Videos and SoundCloud and others took over, and they've tried to wrestle that back a little bit through algorithmic searches and other things. But my question is it theft? Is there a problem with people listening to your music, or is it such a kind of saturated market that you just want people to listen to your song regardless of if they were making money or not? Because something that I found with big stars, for example, is they'll reference each other. There's this sort of cross promotion going on within music. It's like I'm Nicki Minaj and I'm talking about that other one. I don't know very much about artists and music people, but they'll say, oh, I hang out with Britney Spears, and it's like this cross promotion or advertising. Like the most subtle form is music videos, and the superstar person will be wearing a generic Nike or drinking Coca-Cola. Are these cross promotion and or advertising ideas, even with smaller companies? Are these something that people are embracing, or are they still embracing this sort of hard-edged idea that if you copy a song that's mine, that's IP theft, because that's what the record industry used to do, and they went nuts. They tried to sue household wives for $200,000 per song, and drive people into absolute utter poverty, for a song that they downloaded one time. And I remember they even went after a church pastor, and he said, well, the computer is in my main room, and we have parties with lots of my friends. She has all these people over, and we don't always know who's using the computer. It doesn't have a password, So, so what do you think? Is it just so saturated that it's better if just anybody listens to the music and they embrace the internet and the ability to copy it a million times?
All right. Well, you've asked two different questions, so let me answer the first one. Is it theft? Yes, it's theft. There's no two ways about it. If you steal someone's property, that's technically theft. Now, copyright law is very flexible by design. So, is it crazy to go after the pastor of a church for downloading some music? Of course it is. But it's still theft. Do we turn a blind eye to it? Of course we do. There are certain usages of copyright that you just can't go after. You can't police it all. However, when you get to the point where a musician's means of livelihood, the means of their ability to make money has been destroyed by the ubiquity of copying and sharing files over the web, that becomes a serious concern, because you've now destroyed an income stream for a large segment of people who work hard enough as it is. So yes, Napster was a real big problem, because it essentially made it very impossible for lots of middle and lower income musicians to keep making that meager living that they were making. Because let's face facts, 99% of the musicians in the world are not superstars making millions. They're hardworking people who barely scrape by, and they do anything they can to keep making money making music. And they live middle-class lifestyles. And those are the people who got hurt the most by illegal file sharing and theft of intellectual property. Your second question, is it better to have people listening to it and get the music out there because it's free promotion? You just nailed the Napster thing on the head. That was his whole thing. That was his reason for being. Oh, Napster's going to help them because it'll spread the music around. Well, obviously, that was proven to be false, because they weren't making any money because people were listening to their music. So
what about the cross promotion and or advertising inside of the songs?
Well, now you're talking like major label stuff, which is not really our bailiwick. We focus on independent musicians, and for the most part, independent musicians can't get that kind of product placement money. Some of them are able to, and they do, but for the most part, a lot of independent musicians don't have the listenership, the following, the fan base that's large enough yet to command advertising money from product placement. That is changing with YouTube, because a lot of people have been able to monetize sponsorship via YouTube videos. There's a band called Walk Off the Earth that does all kinds of really cool cover songs, and they have been able to monetize YouTube to a great extent. And there are other bands that use product placement in their videos on YouTube in order to garner sponsorship money. So yes, to a certain extent they can, but unless you're on a major label and you've got huge marketing behind you, it's really difficult to take advantage of product placement money.
Well, me and my friend in year 11 and 12, so basically we we're too poor to afford beer, so I learned to DJ with him, and we used to go to parties and get subsidies on all our beer products. So we used to do all their music at parties, and that seemed to work okay. It was a beer subsidy plan. And that worked fine. So there's other benefits that go along with doing musical composition as well in the realm.
I'll never turn down free beer.
I did want to say a couple things about Noel's IMC. Just to tell you about it a little bit, is one person that had been at the IMC out in LA. She later was on American Idol. I won't say the name of the person, no, but just to let you know that people that have been at the IMC and learned stuff about business have even gone on to be on American Idol and be seen on TV. Another friend of ours, I think, did some of her managing and stuff there for a while. And actually, he's moving back to Philly. I've been in a little contact with him. And so it'd be good to see him back in Philly. Somebody from Philly that you go out to go out to LA to meet, which is kind of funny to me. You fly all the way out there to meet someone that's only an hour away from you. But so his IMC has been very successful to people. You did it now. You did it in Philly. You did it in LA. You did it in Australia. You did it up north where your home is, and you have a new one coming up that you told me the schedule can be a little bit flexible right now when you're having it, but about when are you planning on having the next IMC? We're
almost locked into these dates. It's going to be in May of 2020, the 27th through the 31st.
Very cool. Very cool.
And where should that be?
It's going to be in Massachusetts. And we're still trying to lock in the venue, but it's a really cool music venue. Very popular, has a nice variety of usage space, so we can do not only the music in the facility, but also show some films.
And your website for that is what, the indiemusicconference.com, or what is it?
Independent independentmusicconference.com.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. Didn't you also used to have IndieGate or something like that, another website?
Yeah, IndieGate was a store for physical product.
At least I remember your name. The worst thing when you get older, wait till Steele gets older and realize you can't remember names when you get older.
I have some sort of disorder with names anyway. It's I don't remember anybody's name anyway. So for me, that's not going to be a surprise nor a problem. I can't even remember my own name most of the time. I don't know what's going on.
That's why you wear name tags.
Yeah,
a name tag, and you put it on upside down so you can see it, not anybody else.
I don't think it's fair that I see John's name and my name on screen and not Steele's. I could forget his name.
Well, he's a superhero. That's how we remember his name, Steele.
Yeah,
like the Man of Steel. So what? For now, here's a question: how do you see this year's being different? This year's IMC being different than any of the years in past? Just to be curious.
Well, the biggest difference this year is going to be the inclusion of the film festival. So I'm excited about that because I'm trying to approach the film festival side of things the same way that I approach the music side of things. And I want to do things quite different than what most film festivals are how they're done. And one of the problems I see immediately is that all these small film festivals give out a lot of laurels. Are you familiar with a laurel?
Not exactly. Which kind of laurel are we talking about?
You mean like a laurel wreath?
You look at their posters, you see all those little leaf things on there. So-and-so picked us the blah, blah, blah at this film festival, and they got like 1 million of them on their poster. You know what I mean? Okay. So those laurels are given out by these small film festivals. It's kind of like, the lollipop at the bank teller. Everybody gets a lollipop, and there's lots of laurels. And I just think that it's kind of, that doesn't seem like the right reason to go to a film festival to me.
You mean I'm not going to get a laurel for that? I sent you the film in your PO box.
You might
Spend all that money to send that to you. Oh man,
get a laurel.
Oh, well.
I think here's what I'm thinking. I'm
Dead
gonna
Nation should get a laurel.
There we go.
We got a laurel.
One laurel. We're gonna have one. It's gonna say official selection of the Independent Media Conference, and that's it. There's not gonna be any best actress, best special effects, because to me that's not what the festival's supposed to be about. My goal with the IMC is going to be get the filmmakers some eyeballs on their movie. Because if you're making a film, what's the one thing you want? You want people to watch it. And most of the film festivals don't promote the movies. They don't send links out for the movies. They don't talk about the movies. They don't review the movies. And I wonder what the purpose of the festival is if I don't know anything about the films that they're showing. So I really want the IMC to be different in that we promote the films and we try to get people to watch the films. And maybe even get people to come to the festival and sit in the seats and watch the films at the festival, because wouldn't that be great?
Now there's an idea.
Yeah, you're competing against, and this is the other thing, films is going to be interesting as well. The Calais Film Festival obviously being a big one there. But, you're also competing against these rising Netflix and Stan and these other guys as well who are sort of monopolizing that market a little bit. And yeah, it's about getting people in the seats. And I know Saudi Arabia is actually moving into films and independent films in a big way for this reason, to compete against. And the Emirates as well. The United Arab Emirates is also moving into massively into independent films because they got nothing else to do. What are they in the middle of the desert doing? Nothing. So, yeah. But independent, there is a lot of room for independent films, but I think people have to understand where they need to go with the films. I think films have to take an evolutionary path, again, because there's more films than ever before, and I think the audience is there. The audience is bigger than ever before, and especially with the growth of the internet, there is a bigger audience than ever before, and there's more people who could potentially watch than ever before. But it's how to I like this idea of promotion of the films themselves, how to get people to watch it. And I think the movie industry has to evolve. It has to change from what it currently is. I don't watch movies. I've never been a big movie person. I don't really. I've liked independent films sometimes, but I've just never been a big movie person. I've always been a big book reader. But that's a dead industry. I mean, that's something it's not even worth talking about. But I know that people
I still like books. Come on now. I just put a couple out. Let's be nice here.
I read yours. No, but like TV series seem to be something, and trilogies also seem to be something where where people like the suspense and the cliffhangers and things. And I think that movies, having an arty movie, it's cool, but even if you win at Calais, I mean, it doesn't trickle down to an audience. It trickles down to a bunch of film directors who go, wow, this guy's a good film technician or a director technician, and they'll give him a role, some sort of role on a larger movie, a Hollywood production or a Bollywood or a Chollywood production or something like that. So I think movies have to take an evolutionary path. They have to develop their own niche. And what do you say? I think there's room for evolution, but it's a more tailored evolution.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and you've touched on a lot of the things that I want to try to address with the festival side of the IMC. I think that it's a very niche marketed kind of an industry at this point, especially amongst the independent filmmakers who are working with super micro low budgets compared to Hollywood movies, and sometimes they're working with almost no budget, and they're trying to create something that will stand up, will hold up to an audience, find a viewership. And a great example of what we're talking about is David Fincher, who produced a small 3-minute long viral short film called Lights Out, and that found an audience, and became a viral success, and got him, Hollywood came knocking, as you described. And they said, hey, we love the fact that you've become a viral success with this 3-minute short film. We'd like to fly you to America and get you a crew and get you a budget and have you turn it into a feature film. And lo and behold, it was a big success. They asked him to direct Shazam. That was a big success. Now he's directed Annabelle Creation, the sequel to that movie. That was a big success. So he's got 3 huge successes under his belt now. And he started out just like everybody else, a little independent filmmaker with no money. And, he found viral success. So
One more thing I have to ask you. That's great. And you mentioned micro budgets. So one way to combat micro budgets is animation, and because the cost of doing animated stuff is coming down. It takes some sound equipment and some other stuff. Are you seeing more and more independent animated films as opposed to film production with real people and real sets and real costumes and stuff like that? Is there a growth in animated films?
Surprisingly, no. I don't see a lot of animated films, at least in my region. I see a lot more independent filmmakers trying to make live action movies. And I think that a lot of that is fueled by the fact that fledgling actors want to act and looking for these projects. They're looking to get together with other people and create these movies as a vehicle for them to act, because you can't get a job unless you prove you can do the job. You can't prove you can do the job unless you do the job. It's catch-22. So they want to come together. They make these self-funded, self-created film projects, and they use those as a springboard. So I'm seeing a lot more of that. Animation is typically done by one person. They're doing the whole project all by themselves. So there's no crew involved. There's no cast of other actors involved, except for maybe a few people to do voices. Although the short film that I saw recently, which is animated, the guy who created that one did all the voices himself. So he didn't need any.
I've seen a couple. I saw a new show. I can't think what the name of it was, but it had named actors in it, but it was animated. And I really did wonder if that wasn't. It was kind of interesting when they did that. Had like four characters that were known actors, and it was animated. And it was kind of artsy and kind of interesting. And I think it might have been a little cheaper for them to do it that way. But that was where people knew their voices. So it wasn't actors trying to break into the market. It was known actors being put into an animation where you knew who they were and the animations resembled them. And that was kind of interesting, and it was kind of artsy.
You have to look at it this way also. What is the definition of animated anymore? Because now that we're
computer generated, yes.
Exactly. You're seeing so many of these characters in the movies that are not actual people. They're computer generated imagery. Like Thanos in the Avengers movies, that wasn't really an actor. That was a created character built entirely in the computer with a famous actor doing the voice. So that's technically an animated character. And the same thing with the Hulk. So, many of those superhero movies, they're using a lot of computer generated imagery to create these characters. And you have to consider that animation, in my opinion. So there's a lot of animation in the industry being utilized that a lot of the typical movie viewers don't even realize is actually animation.
I've had a few different artists come on this show. I've got an art Sunday show with an art expert. I've also had Natasha Kupchuk come on. She's a Russian. She's now the British art ambassador. She came on this show. Do you know Natasha Kupchuk? She her latest music video has reached 12 million. It's pretty cool. She's pretty cool. But she's now the British art ambassador, and they're doing big investments in independent film and media. And the other lady I've had on here, Sophia Skaya, she's a famous ballerina, and she's worked with Peter Jackson. She's worked closely with him in different movies. And she is investing a lot of money into holograms. This is Transhumanist show. We better talk about something transhumanist. And she's investing a lot of money into holograms. What do you say over there, Noel Ramos? Do you like holograms?
Well, I heard that they just cast James Dean in a movie, and clearly
there you go.
That's not the real James Dean since he's long passed. So a hologram just got a job. I guess that's cool. I just worry about the robots taking our jobs, you know. But,
We're all about robots taking. Well, we don't want them to take the warrior jobs. That's why we're doing the campaign to stop killer robots. But I'm okay with automation in general. But yeah, no, this is the argument that we have all the time on the show, whether or not you want jobs to be automated away and all of this sort of stuff. This is the big, these are the big questions. But yeah, no, yeah, holograms. I love holograms, and if you look at the amount of hologram work that they're doing in South Korea, I think they could be a massive enhancement on, especially live performances, which is something. My final question to you, Noel Ramos, do you know Lawrence Lessing?
Yes, I have.
Good.
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, because that guy is right at the epicenter of copyright law, Creative Commons, and all of that stuff. And I think if you have a fundamental understanding of how Creative Commons works, you're on the right track. And Lawrence Lessing, obviously, really important in that arena to understanding that new future. Because I think what he's done is he's redefined how the future is going to work for a long, long, long time, especially while the internet's around. So. Really encouraged to hear that. The guy's, in my world, that guy's a real superhero. Greatest lawyer in the world, I think. All right, well, I got to run. We got to run, Mr. Carrots. We've got to
Well,
go.
again, one more time.
Yeah.
Noel, plug how everybody finds
Yeah,
out
go.
about your upcoming event.
IndependentMusicConference.com.
And I'm planning on being there. And, of course, Steele's going to fly in under his own power since he's a superhero. Up and away.
Awesome.
And we will be there in May.
May
Cool.
27th through the 31st.
Yeah, everybody check that out. Links in the description. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramos, for coming on. And yeah, and the movie industry is an exciting one. It sounds like you have some exciting events going on there and exciting things going on there. So good luck with both music and movies. I'm excited.
Thank you, Steele.
No problem.